Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 cast by Glitch. Today I'm bringing to you a TVP on Shakuras Plateau. Spawning here in the top right corner as the blue Terran, we have mouzThorZaIN. Spawning in the bottom left corner as the red Protoss, we have WhiteRa, also known sometimes as Duckload Raw. This is going to be a best of 3 that was played in the European Invitational over in Poland, and this was actually a game I missed. I was actually trying to catch as many of these games as I could as they were played live on stream. I think you could actually find them on StarCraft2.com because it was an official Blizzard sponsored event. But not all the games were cast there, and so some of them were played off stream. So this was one of them, and I really wanted to catch this game because I just love WhiteRa, and ThorZaIN is an amazing European player, so I thought this would be a really fun game to cast. So I am going to be casting the whole series. Like I said, this is going to be a best of 3. Now, this is game 1, so I expect to see a good game from these two amazing European players. WhiteRa is actually a player I've met now twice. I met him once at NASL and once again at MLG Anaheim. And he's just such a nice guy. He's super nice. He's super nice. I love that man. He's just really nice. Every time you meet him, he's just really genuine. Always willing to talk to fans and things, and he's just really super cool. Unfortunately, he hasn't done so well at either of these tournaments. He didn't do so hot at NASL, and he didn't do that well at MLG either. Actually, at MLG there was a bit of drama because WhiteRa showed up about 20 minutes late to his match. I forget what he said, why that happened, but I guess he had shown up 20 minutes late to his match, and they just disqualified him. He was originally supposed to be in the winners bracket, but they disqualified him for showing up 20 minutes late, and he was forced to just have to fight his way through the losers bracket. And he actually did really well in the losers bracket. I think he went, I don't remember, some ridiculous, I think he went like 8-0 in the losers bracket or something, was doing ridiculously well, undefeated in the losers bracket. And then once he had fought his way back up to the top, he got beat by, oh man, I can't remember who beat him. I think it was one of the Korean Terran players. I can't remember which one it was though, for the life of me. So he didn't get even in the top 3, I don't think, at MLG Anaheim. Anyway, I think it's about time that we jump right into this game. Looks like ThorZaIN so far has just thrown down 1 barracks, is producing Marines out of that while he is throwing down his command center. This is getting to be something that I've been seeing a little bit more often in Terran play, especially on Shakuras Plateau, where you can throw 1 unit up on the Xel'Naga watchtowers and you can have a good idea of all the traffic coming through the middle of the map. It's not a bad idea to fast expand on this map. We can see almost a similar style here going down for WhiteRa. WhiteRa has thrown down 1 gateway and he's just pumping units out of that 1 gateway. He's taken 1 gas geyser and is now getting his cybernetics core. We do have a zealot and a stalker now that are moving across the map. This is a pretty standard opening for Protoss to do. It's a very good opening. I actually had a bit of a criticism on my stream one time because somebody actually did not like the fact that I called things standard, and I guess I made standard sound like it was not, or I guess easy to do. So they said, man, standard is not necessarily something that's easy to do. So I don't want to give that impression. I think standard is an excellent way of playing. There's a reason it's standard. It's because it's just a very good way of playing. So like I was saying, this is a standard opening. It's very standard to get this zealot and then followed by that stalker. And a lot of times you can do a lot of really good damage with those 2 units. If you control it well, this zealot can absorb a lot of damage while this stalker does a lot of damage. As you can see here, he's going to be sending in this zealot first to be absorbing the damage while this stalker is here doing the damage. But this bunker is about to go down, and I think this is going to deny WhiteRa from doing too much damage here. He does get that SCV kill. He's pulling a few more SCVs off the line to come try to defend against this push, but the zealot has now gone down, meaning that this stalker is going to be forced to pull back. And now that this bunker is here, I don't think WhiteRa is going to be able to do too much more damage. But he is expanding behind this, so he's throwing down an expansion, and he's throwing down a couple more gateways. So it looks like we have 3 gateways going down. Again, very standard play from WhiteRa, and very just solid play. Always a good style of play against those Terran players. That early attack allows him to scout his opponent as well as maybe deal some damage, so he gets to see now that his opponent mouzThorZaIN has expanded, and he knows that there won't be any kind of big pushes coming anytime too soon. check out the harvester count right now, we can see that the harvester count is about looks like WhiteRa is just a tad ahead, 29 or 30 now to 27. This is not terribly uncommon in this matchup, just because it's very common to have this Nexus be chrono boosted. A lot of these Protoss players that go for this economic style of play get a lot of chrono boosts on those probes. This allows them to get a lot of probes up, and it allows them to compete with those Terran players, despite the Terrans having those mules that are oh so good at getting them lots of minerals. I believe for every mule you have, I believe the equivalent number of workers, I think, is 4 workers. Yeah, I could be mistaken, but one interesting fact about those mules is that they can mine simultaneously. So your SCVs are mining on these mineral patches. The fact that your mule comes down and starts mining from that patch too does not stop the SCV from mining it. So it is additional resources that you are collecting, and it is like collecting. It is like having 4 SCVs collecting at once, I believe, is the equivalent number of normal workers for those mules. Now, looks like WhiteRa is thrown down his robotics facility. Wouldn't be surprised to see an observer coming down. It has been a while since he's poked up into his opponent's base. Has not seen what style of tech his opponent is going for yet. He has not seen that WhiteRa has now thrown down these 3 factories, and he's now getting up this factory. Did I just say 3 factories and he's now getting up a factory? I meant to say that he is now getting up 3 barracks, 1 with a tech lab, 2 with a tech lab, and 1 with a reactor. Holy cow, it has been a long weekend, ladies and gentlemen, because I have forgotten all the names of the Terran buildings. So, he has now thrown down this factory. Wouldn't be surprised to see oh my god, a tech lab. Holy cow, I cannot talk anymore. Come down on this factory to get some siege tanks. So far he has scouted that WhiteRa has been going for this gateway style of play. So a very good choice of units would be a siege tank right now. Now, interestingly enough, we do have a warp prism that is now out moving across the field. WhiteRa is a big fan of doing these warp prism drops. It's very common that he gets these warp prisms and throws in a few zealots, and will go drop them at the back of the opponent's base, deal a lot of damage, get a lot of workers killed. It's a very common style of play for WhiteRa, and I absolutely love this style of play. At MLG Anaheim, we actually saw him load up some Archons actually into his Warp Prism, do some drops with Archons, and then warped in some Zealots. Although it didn't work out, I would love to see that play just happen a little bit more commonly, just because it just seems like it would just be so good to drop a couple of Archons with splash damage into a mineral line, get a lot of worker kills very, very quickly. So it looks like we do have this drop here coming down. In the meantime, there is a pylon here going down at the 3rd, 4th WhiteRa, but it looks like WhiteRa is going to be content to just drop 1 zealot into the mineral line, try to get a little bit of scouting information and find out exactly what WhiteRa is going for. And now moving this zealot in, he has now seen that there is 1 factory going down, and he has now seen the starport with reactor add-on. This can, from this, he can assume that there are going to be possibly drops coming out. Most likely this is going to be medevacs. He knows that he has not gone for any Colossi yet, and I'm pretty sure WhiteRa has not yet scouted. No, he's not scouted any kind of Colossi tech yet for WhiteRa, so he's probably not going Vikings, but he is going to be moving out with these first 2 medevacs that are coming out. WhiteRa does have this observer now on the field. It is now scouting the forces of WhiteRa, and WhiteRa has not scouted that, or he has not noticed that little blur that could indicate to him that that observer is right over his base, and another observer actually coming out to go scout the natural of WhiteRa. This is a pretty big intimidating force here coming out now for WhiteRa moving across the map. WhiteRa is now trying to warp in as many units as he can. He is now operating on 6 warp gates, and his Templar archives is up, so he probably will be warping in some High Templar here pretty soon to try to get off some good storms. But holy cow, this is an intimidating little force here from WhiteRa. It is coming up to the front. There are only 2 sentries on the field right now. WhiteRa could stand to use a few more sentries. He's going to need more if he's going to want to deal with this big of a Marine Marauder force. They are currently 0-0 in upgrades, no upgrades, and there's the stim coming down. The Guardian Shields go down for WhiteRa. Some nice force field there going down for WhiteRa, splitting up the army, but I don't know if this is going to be enough from WhiteRa to hold off this many forces from WhiteRa. It looks like more zealots now being warped in from WhiteRa, and oh my god, all the units of WhiteRa are now falling, and the units of WhiteRa are just streaming in, dealing a lot of damage. WhiteRa pulling all his SCVs back, more units being warped in at the top for WhiteRa. I'm surprised he hasn't thrown down any Templar. He does not yet have that Psy Storm, so he cannot use that to try to get some storms off. I did miss that earlier. All the probes now being pulled off the line, moving in to try to take out as many forces. There's a ton of marauders here. He needs to be warping in more zealots to try to deal with this many forces. And the forge goes down. The upgrade was almost finished, but that forge has now gone down. WhiteRa now pulling off more probes to try to clean up this attack force as best he can. All these marauders are very low, and these medevacs are out of energy. I wouldn't be surprised to see ThorZaIN pick these marauders up and just get out of there. And yes, indeed, very nice pickup there by ThorZaIN. Excellent damage there done. If we check out the Harvester tab right now, we can see that WhiteRa is now down 48 to 66 Harvesters. And if we check out the workers killed, we can see that 12 Harvesters were killed for ThorZaIN. He is now warping in those Templar, trying to get up a few Archons. Always, Archons just doing very, very good right now in the PvT mid-game. It's very common now for those Protoss players to get those Archons up just because they are just ridiculously good right now. Ridiculously good with all that splash damage. They are able to take a ton of damage. If you'll notice that the Archon, if you look at the type of unit that an Archon is actually a psionic type unit. So there are no types of units that deal bonus damage to Archons. So Archons just have that straight up 350 shields, able to take a massive amount of damage from these units. The only one weakness that they have are these ghosts that, if they get good EMPs off, can take out the entire shields of the Archons, basically bringing them down to just 10 health. So WhiteRa is going to be very careful here. He's going to need to be very careful if he's going to want to survive against those ghosts. Looks like ThorZaIN is way ahead in the food count right now. 146 food, 298 food. WhiteRa is going to really have to have some kind of a miracle defense here if he's going to want to hold on here. He's frantically trying to warp in more units. He does have an Immortal here out on the field. A few Archons. Very nice Archon spread here by WhiteRa. He's spreading them out so that in case any ghosts come up and he does not see them and those EMPs go down, he won't lose all of his Archons to just 1 or 2 EMPs. Trying to get as good of a unit spread as he can. His Zealots are now up. These Zealots do have that charge upgrade, so they are going to be able to zoom in and try to pin those Terran forces back. But no Colossi up right now, actually, for WhiteRa. I'm actually surprised that he's not going for those Colossi. He really needs to get some of those Colossi up if he's going to want to deal the massive amounts of damage to these biological units from ThorZaIN. Looks like ThorZaIN's stimming in a couple of units, just trying to see if he can see what his opponent is doing. We do have an expansion now coming down for ThorZaIN. Another expansion coming down for WhiteRa as well, but it looks like it is going to be denied here by ThorZaIN, and it looks like WhiteRa is going to try to pin this attack from the back, try to get good positioning off on this force, but it looks like, no, it looks like WhiteRa might actually be trying to go around, and no, here comes the engagement. Nice EMPs there by ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN gets an EMP off on all of those Archons. So much shields instantly go down. The Vikings are now landing, trying to deal as much damage as they can, but these Marauders are 1-1, dealing massive amounts of damage to all these gateway units from WhiteRa, and WhiteRa is not able to take down those forces. WhiteRa really needs to get up some Colossi, but he does not even have that robotics bay up yet. He is going to have to rely on just gateway units, warping in some more Archons there. I don't know that this is a good move here for WhiteRa. He really needs those Colossi if he's going to want to be able to take out this Bio Ball from ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN now throwing up another expansion, gonna go to 4 base. WhiteRa's gonna know about it instantly, but there isn't really much he can do about it. He does not have the kind of forces he needs to be able to push out. Right now he's gonna need to expand a couple of times and hope that ThorZaIN kind of sits back, because WhiteRa is definitely not in a good place here. He is not in the kind of position that he can deal any kind of damage. If we check out the production units for ThorZaIN right now, we can see that, holy cow, he's got 7 barracks up right now, 1 starport with that reactor still on it, Ghost being pumped out non-stop. Just a ton of production here from ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN just in such an excellent spot. 96 food to 156 food. He is in such a good place. Going very Marauder heavy because he knows his opponent is going very very Zealot Archon heavy. Now, the Archons are considered to be massive units, so these Marauders Concussive Shell won't be able to slow those Archons, but they will be able to kite those Zealots pretty well, and without any other units other than these Zealot Archons, I don't know that this is quite the composition WhiteRa is going to need to be able to take out these forces. WhiteRa is now moving in. He's trying to deal as much damage as he can. He knows he's way behind in economy. He knows that his opponent is on 3 base, and he's going in. The EMPs go down, dealing massive amounts of damage, and instantly knocking out all the shields of those Zealots, and it looks like WhiteRa is not going to be able to hold this ThorZaIN now with almost triple the food of WhiteRa, and WhiteRa GG's. This means, ladies and gentlemen, that ThorZaIN takes Game 1, and we are going to be going into Game 2 right now.